Kia ora. In this maybe short, rambling video, we're going to look at the question, or try answer the question, what is MusicBrainz? Let's start with the easy part. This is MusicBrainz here. Well, this is the front, this is the website for MusicBrainz, but MusicBrainz is a music database. It stores information about anything to do with music, really. Events, musicians, releases, labels, all that good stuff, genres, so on and so forth. And yeah, this is the front end where we can look at let's just, we've got the recent editions here, we've got the search up here. So let's have a look at this album here. Kind of a cool cover. So here we can see, tidy that up, we can see this is an album by a compilation actually by various artists, Moontape 13, and MusicBrainz stores heaps of information on all this stuff, the cover artwork and so on and so forth. And one of the other things it stores is the relationship between all these things. So we can see here we've got the associated singles, part of this series. Let's just have a look. And for instance, for something like Beethoven, this is what really makes MusicBrainz shine, is how the data connects to each other. So we've got Clavier Sonaten here, and then we'll go into the CD. So that's the release group. We go into the release. Oh, we don't have a work for this yet. Let's try find a work. Actually, no, I will try find one. Unspecified type. Obviously, there's a lot here to. He's got a lot of releases. People spend a long time trying to tidy this stuff. So now we're in the CD, and now if we click on one of these, we end up in the recording. So MusicBrainz stores the recording, and now what we've got here is all the different releases that this recording of this song with these musicians was used. So it was used in all these releases. And let's see who the orchestra was. Oh, right, so we've got a whole bunch of different orchestras playing this this arrangement. And then here you can see it's part of, we've got the composer, we've got all the arrangements of this. And then we've got, here we go, part of, so this is part of a movement, and so on. And let's not get too stuck. I'm showing a complicated example here, but basically this is how you've got a real web of how everything interlinks, and that's often what makes data valuable. We can use this for all kinds of stuff, and then we can also, on a simple level, we can use it to look up that this is an artist and he comes from this, or they come from this country, they play in this genre, and they've released these albums. On another level, we can start, or if somebody wants to, they can start looking on a more complex level at how does this artist relate to this other artist? What kind of genres are played by these people? And then, what color are their album covers? And so on. And because it's all open source, this is all pretty much free to use under CC0, Creative Commons 0. Some of it is under Share Alike 3.0, which means you can use it but not for profit. But most of the billions of rows of data in this are open to everyone, and it's used by lots of different software. So let's do a Google search. Let's have a look. So Google, for instance, uses the information from MusicBrainz to help them get information for these sidebars here. Google's a bit opaque. It's a bit hard to know how exactly or what for, but basically, if you've got a band and you want places to pull information for it, it'll be here. Last.fm uses it. Here we go. Last.fm often. Again, not always. So people can use it however they want, but often uses it to create these albums and the track lists and track times. And of course for tagging, lots of tagging software. MusicBrainz Picard. Let's have a look. There's a little list on the homepage. MP3 tag, MusicBrainz Picard, Beats, different players, Plex. They all pull music from here. So This is kind of an open source, community created. Nobody's ever going to monetize it. And let's go into the history of that for a little bit. So let's look up the MusicBrainz wiki, because there's a reason why MusicBrainz got created. And it's because something happened to the CDDB. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here, but I'll basically read this out. It was founded in response to the restriction placed on the compact disc database CDDB, which was a data, or is, but let's talk to past tense because it's a dirty word now. Basically, a database for software applications to look up audio CD information on the internet. Now, the CDDB was also an open source. Anybody could submit information. It was meant to be free for use forever. Actually, I don't know if it was open source. Let's have a look. Well, it was a network, so it wasn't open source, but it was meant to be free. Here we go. Many people submitted CD information thinking the service would also remain free. And now we can jump down here. In 2000, CDDB was renamed Gracenote, and they said would remain 100% free. But then very quickly the license changed. So they started requiring people to display the CDDB logo, so on and so forth, or exclusively use CDDB, and then eventually charge. So now you basically Gracenote has monetized it, and the people who contributed stuff for free to CDDB were naturally pissed off, because I mean it can be hundreds or thousands of hours of freely given time. So that's where MusicBrainz comes in. MusicBrainz was created in, I think, 2000, around about 2000, which is when Gracenote came down. Let's say 2000. So now, and it is part of the MetaBrainz Foundation, and the MetaBrainz Foundation has been set up in a way, and it's got MusicBrainz, Picard, BookBrainz, ListenBrainz, CritiqueBrainz, Cover Art Archive. They're all part of the MetaBrainz Foundation, which is a non-profit, and it's been set up explicitly to make it hard to buy out. So there's a whole bunch of kind of safeguards to having what happens to CDDB happen would be very, very tricky to happen to MusicBrainz. Not only that, but because MusicBrainz is open source and you can just download the data dumps, it means if this got bought out and someone changed the logo, someone could immediately just clone the whole thing and keep it going for free, and then we'd all just change to that. So this really is a truly open music database. Now I do love discogs, and Rate Your Music. You know, these are all similar sites. Now, the data at Discogs is open, but still, you know, advertising and there's definitely as great as the site seems, the founder could pass away and then the estate decides to sell it, so on. Changes could get made that people don't like. Again, everything at MusicBrainz is open, and Discogs has more of a focus on buying and selling. So we can see here, and that's a big driver to what they've got. Rate Your Music, is also a similar site, and I'd say, well, they're definitely based around ratings, so rating music. But MusicBrainz is much more, it covers kind of all of it, so it doesn't sell things. We tend to have more digital releases because of our a lot of taggers. A lot of people are using tagging software to pull data for digital releases. A lot of physical as well, for sure. And then we've got ratings and all that as well, collections. And let's actually have a look what's in here. Let's go About Us, statistics. So we can see. Alright, so we've got 2 million artists, almost 3 million release groups. And then under that, 3.5 million releases, and then 30 million recordings, 40 million tracks, so on. 40 million relationships, more or less, pulling everything, linking everything together. 96 million entities, almost 100 mil in the database, and so on. And we've got other data breakdowns. And yeah, anyone can sign up and and contribute and make edits. And to do that, we've got the edit system. So here we go. This is my open edit queues. So not every edit goes in immediately. These ones here haven't passed yet, so closes in 4 days. This is just to give people time to check that nothing's getting wrecked. We've got Chaban here has done a yes vote. This would go quicker with 3 yes votes, but it'll go through anyway. The point is that it's very much a community focused. I was going to try to get to the forums. It's all very community based, and it's a great time. Says the nerd. I am a nerd. It's all like, there's a lot of stuff happening in the community, and everyone's just interested in contributing. And most people do come from a tagger. They've got a practical reason. They want to update Plex or some other software that uses MusicBrainz. A lot of people don't know it exists, but they do use it. And then when they dig a little bit deeper and they have to make some changes to a release that they've got, they end up popping into MusicBrainz and making some changes. A good example would be ListenBrainz. Let's have a little search for that. So ListenBrainz, and this is a MusicBrainz offer, something that MusicBrainz has made themselves. It's a MetaBrainz product. But let's have a look. Let's just click on a random users here. Maybe Pablo. This is a good example of where we can track. This tracks listens from Spotify and other music players, and we can get here. This all links to the MusicBrainz database. So what will happen is a lot of people use ListenBrainz and they see there's no artwork on here, or the release data is missing. There's no link here, and then they'll start adding it because they want their charts to be accurate, or their reports. Data like where in the world stuff comes from, which would see if this user had listened to stuff lately. So that's usually how people come to MusicBrainz. We also, it's all open source, but the servers, they take a lot to maintain, so requests are limited to 1 a second from the official servers. So if you don't want to make a duplicate of the database and use that for your really large-scale software, or you're a company, you've got serious needs for this, like Google, then you can pay and support the development and the database, and then you'll be able to make more requests, basically more than 1 a second, which can slow it down a little bit. What else? I guess a good note here is that it really is all music. It's fringe, it's fringe. It's as long as it's been released to the public. It's not just like you'll see your mixtapes, your personal mixtapes. We wouldn't include here, but outside of music, any genre, off MySpace or off vinyl, all that, it's all welcome. And join us and start editing.